My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you. Hello, everyone. Thank you for attending, and we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. So I'm going to share my screen so we can get started. I'm assuming you guys can see it. My name is Neil Patel, and today I'm going to be talking about navigating the future of AI. You guys have heard a lot about ChatGPT, a little bit probably about Bard, and there's a lot more going on when it comes to AI. We want to break all that down for you today because it's super important and it's going to change marketing in many different ways. And what's funny is there's much more to AI than marketing as well. Everyone believes that marketing AI is where it's at. That's actually where it's creating the buzz, but that's not actually where the majority of the money is being spent. So we'll go over some of that stuff as well. I'm the co-founder of an ad agency called NP Digital. We're a global ad agency. We're all around the world. We help companies like, Allstate or Cisco or Adobe, and the list goes on, or Tata Motors, just grow. And we've driven a lot of visitors for our clients. We've won a ton of awards. The results that we produce for clients work out extremely well, and we have a great track record. We won awards like Agency of the Year, Best SEO Campaign of the Year, Best Paid Advertising Campaign of the Year, and the list goes on and on. There's 3 of us on this webinar today, and we have a great team at NP Digital. I always like saying how the team is smarter than me, and they are, and they know quite a bit more than me on a lot of different topics because they specialize. So guys, you want to introduce yourself? Carlos, you want to start?
Sure. Thanks, Neil. Thanks for having me today. I'm Carlos. I've been working with Neil since 2017, before even the agency started. And I've been in marketing and SEO for roughly 13 years. And now I'm the managing director for Answer the Public, for Ubersuggest, or what we like to call the technology division of NP Digital. With Ubersuggest, I was one of the first to join the team in 2019, and we managed to grow it from 200,000 monthly users to over 6 million unique users last year alone. And we're now developing solutions around artificial intelligence, connecting the dots between finding keywords and then creating content to rank on Google. Thanks, Neil.
Well, Dave, you want to go next?
Sure. My name is David Shapiro. I'm the Senior Vice President of Earned Media here at NP Digital. I've been with the company essentially since the beginning. Been in the industry for about 15 years. And yeah, our team is really looking at and testing different ways to utilize a lot of these different technologies to figure out how we can help our clients grow. It's great to be here, and I look forward to this conversation.
So I mentioned a little about us. We've won a ton of awards. We have a lot of clients, a lot of team members. We're in a lot of countries. I believe we're in 8 countries now. We're about to, in the next few months, we'll announce a few more, and I think we'll be in a little bit more than 10 countries within a few months. And the strategies and the techniques that we're using work. But more importantly, the reason I showcase this slide when a lot of my talks is not because you know we think we're the best, or we think we know everything, because that's not the case. You can always become better, you can always learn more. But more so, we wouldn't be able to work with these brands, we wouldn't have these awards if the strategies and the tactics didn't work, right? They work well, which is why we're privileged to work with a lot of these amazing brands. So when we talk about AI, we're not just talking about AI based on what we're reading. We're talking about AI based on what we're experiencing, where the industry is going, talking with the platforms, working with them. So we have a lot of data that a lot of people may not have, and we see a lot of things that others may not see as well. So let's dive in first on AI. Look, a lot of people love it. They are afraid of it. Some people are, a little bit skeptic on, hey, is it going to even work? Is it great? Is it plagiarizing? At least when it comes from a marketing standpoint. And these are a lot of valid concerns. And AI isn't perfect yet. AI has a long way to go. There is a lot of optimism for it, and there should be. There should also be skepticism because there's a lot of things that are off, and there should also be a lot of fear. But over time, a lot of these things will be put to bed, and people will just learn to live with AI and not worry as much. We're just in the first inning. If we were using baseball analogy, we're just in the first inning, and it's just really starting to take off. You guys are already familiar with ChatGPT. Most people talk about it. It's the darling of AI, and it comes from OpenAI and their whole project and Sam Altman. It's being integrated into Bing, and then Google has their own version called Bard. It's similar to ChatGPT. Google has a lot of data in their index. I probably would say that Google has the biggest index, out of any search engine out there. It is also the most popular one. So that should help train Bard over time to be one of the best AI solutions. Again, it's so early, so you're not necessarily going to see all the results that you would expect today. But keep in mind, Peter Thiel talks about this in one of his presentations, and he's written an amazing book. If you haven't checked out his book, you guys should check it out. A lot of the winners in the categories aren't the first. Google wasn't the first search engine, right? There was a lot of other ones before. Even Yahoo was before them. Alta Vista was before them, and the list goes on and on. Facebook wasn't the first social network. TikTok wasn't either. A lot of times, the biggest players in the space aren't the first mover advantage. It's actually the ones that are later into the space. They learn from all the mistakes, and then eventually they come out and fix all the problems. So just keep that in mind, because a lot of people are like, oh, ChatGPT is where it's at. Bard sucks. Yes, they're later in the game, but there's still a long way to go, and expect them to improve quite a bit. You're also going to see a big AI revolution in which companies are going to start leveraging AI more. They're going to make a lot of massive developments with it, and you're going to start seeing AI get better as well, and then companies become more reliant on it. And again, we're just in the beginning innings of AI. So let's break down 3 reasons you need AI. And it really goes down to 3 main things. And this is think with Google, right? And this is what their main reasons are, but I agree with them. And number 1 is multiply your customer connections. AI-powered audience solutions can leverage first-party data to discover highly valuable customers and new pockets of demand. In essence, it can be more efficient than humans. Think about Google Analytics or any analytics tool you use. How often do you actually log in and not just look at the data, but make decisions based on the data? We work with a lot of clients. Most of them don't. I'm just being super transparent, right? But that's where we help, and a lot of other companies help too. AI can help you make decisions without you having to log on and worry about it, right? That's a huge aspect of AI. The second reason is to multiply your expertise. Now, AI-based measurement solutions like enhanced conversion modeling, etc., can all help provide a better picture and better results. Think about targeting. If you look at lookalike audiences is something that would be really hard for a human to do. But with AI, machine learning, things like that, it ends up becoming better and better. And then multiply your results. Why can't you improve efficiencies? Why can't you have AI start writing your content, for example, and then a human go in and edit it and make it better and add the double EAT, right? Experience, expertise, authority, trust that Google talks about. And that way you can still add that personal touch to your content that you're not going to see from a spun up article. The other thing I wanted to discuss is how we got here. And this is really important. So, where we are with AI as recently the latest 2022, according to McKinsey. So, this is all based on McKinsey. And the big thing is organizations have plateaued between around 50 to 60% from the previous years leveraging and adopting AI. So a lot of people think like, yeah, everyone's jumping on the AI bandwagon, is going to use it. But when you look at a lot of the large corporations out there, many of them were using AI before ChatGPT. ChatGPT is just what marketers are talking about, but there's been a lot of advancements in AI way before ChatGPT. And most people think that AI is supposed to be used for content creation. That really isn't the case. When you look at the McKinsey survey, they found the biggest ones are service operation optimizations, analytics, risk modeling, but none of the main ones are really about content generation or creation, right? So AI has been around for a bit. It's just in sectors that aren't sexy, so no one's really talking about it because they can't just type in saying, create a love letter for me to write to my wife, or a poem for me to write to my wife, or something like that, or a song to create. But these AI solutions that companies are investing in, like service operations, are a big expense for a lot of organizations. So AI has already been invested in heavily, and you're going to see it being invested in more and more over time. And this is where, Chat GPT is standing out, because even though it's not where the biggest investment is, it's where the biggest noise is being made, because it's a lot of B2C utility in which anyone can use it, because it can help my kid write an essay for school, or it can help my buddy, write a note to his father. A lot of the other AI utilities where a lot of companies are investing in don't have that B2C capability. Hence, they're not making the noise and they're not popular. But the other ones is what's saving companies a lot of money. So the adoption over time is growing. You're seeing that, right? 5 years ago, 40% of respondents at organizations said that they use AI, but now it's increasing. And people are spending more money to it, and you're going to see more and more budgets allocated towards AI over time, because it creates more efficiencies and it helps with profitability and scalability as well. Expect over time ChatGPT, Bard, and all the other solutions to become much, much more effective. Again, we're just at its early innings. And you're going to start seeing AI being integrated more into marketing. For example, why do humans have to make the on-page SEO changes? Through JavaScript, you can actually inject code into a website and fix a lot of the problems that a website may have. We've been testing this already with our tech stack for a few years now. It's not perfect, and it can't do all the changes, so you still need humans to do some of the changes. We also see that it takes Google a little bit longer to index it and pick it up than if you just hard code it into the pages. But again, you're going to start seeing AI integrated into many more aspects of marketing as well.
All right, so let's chat about ChatGPT, because ChatGPT is definitely a game changer, and it can do a lot to speed up your content creation, automate some of your workflows. But there's also a lot of hype. And if you played around with ChatGPT for long enough, you've probably seen firsthand some of the limitations there. So let's go over what it can do and what it can't do, at least as of now, and what it means for marketers. So ChatGPT was launched in November 22 by OpenAI, but the technology behind it, GPT, was launched in 2018, and it's been deployed in many different applications since there. And what really differentiates ChatGPT is how people can interact with it. Like Neil said, AI has been out there for a while, right? But basically, with ChatGPT, you can have a conversation with AI. It basically removes the need of having any sort of expert knowledge around APIs or how to deal with AI in order to interact with OpenAI's GPT 3.5. You can just talk with the AI and give it instructions and context on what you need to do and what you want it to accomplish for you, and it will do the trick, right? And Microsoft is investing on OpenAI for the first time with $10 billion, but it's not the first investment they made, right? In July 2019, they invested their first $1 billion. Perhaps one of the most mind-blowing stats about ChatGPT is how fast it's been growing, and it reached 100 million users in 2 months, which is unparalleled in history, right? Let's go next. Now, what can ChatGPT do for marketers? If you've been in marketing for long enough, staring at a blank page, even when you have a template for a specific task or deliverable, is one of those tough moments for marketers. And that no matter how experienced you are, sometimes just coming up with the first few pages of a strategy, a presentation, a piece of ad copy, or a landing page is super hard. And this is where ChatGPT can make the most difference, right? It can help you it can take you from 0 to 1, basically. It can help you sign up, spin up new content ideas. It can help you brainstorm and solve complex problems. It can deal with coding problems, writing, debugging code for you. It can translate your content in a way that sounds natural for foreign languages. And perhaps one of the biggest time savers, it can write long-form content for you. And that's where it's gaining more and more popularity. Now, all of that depends a lot on your ability to write high-quality prompts and really set the stage for ChatGPT to give you the best output possible. So much that what we're seeing now is an entirely new form of knowledge being developed called prompt engineering, which is basically understanding how to craft prompts for AI to help it create the best output possible. And AI is still fairly inaccurate sometimes. We're going to go over a little bit of that. And it's not really advanced or nuanced, but it's still major progress compared to doing everything yourself from scratch. So let's go to the next slide. And here's where we talk about what it can't do. It has a lot of limitations, right? The most important ones is perhaps the accuracy problem. ChatGPT and other types of generative AI can often give you answers that are somewhat random or inaccurate, especially if your prompt is biased. In terms of content ideas, for example, not all of the ideas it generates will be useful to you. They can be sometimes just spun-off versions of the same idea. They can be repetitive, not creative, and sometimes pretty random. Nonetheless, they can help you brainstorm and get your brain juices going. Sometimes you can come across a lot of high-quality content ideas as well. Now, one important thing to say about ChatGPT's knowledge is that it's limited to 2021 data, so you won't really get any fresh information from that. And when you're creating content and capitalizing on trends, ChatGPT just won't be able to help. And last but not least, ChatGPT is trained based on, among other factors, human interactions. And that means that ChatGPT will be biased and often represent things according to those biases. OpenAI has even put safeguards in place against discrimination, racial, ethnic representations, because it's well known that simply training AI based on what humans feed it with can create all sorts of misrepresentations and biases. So let's go next. With Bing is gradually rolling out their integration with ChatGPT. And what this means is that Bing will be able to answer your question and interact with you just like ChatGPT does. The beta program is already out there. And as a bonus, Bing will be able to tell you where the information you're seeing comes from, based on the search results on their platform that ChatGPT will be reading. This is an entirely new search experience. Up until this point, when you went to Google to do a search, the search experience was about you submitting search queries to Google and get a mix of answers, sometimes directly in search results pages like recipes, lyrics, directions to a place or a business. But the core of the results is really the web page results, right? Which in SEO we call organic results. Now, from this point onwards, users will be able to get direct answers to their questions. and prompt the AI to perform tasks just like ChatGPT and get the output that's written by artificial intelligence. Now, according to StatCounter, that's an interesting stat, right? Bing has only 3% of market share in the search engine market. And Microsoft said last week, if I'm not mistaken, that for every point of share they gain in search advertising market, it's a 2 billion revenue opportunity. That's pretty massive. So they have obviously lots to win, whatever result they accomplish by adding ChatGPT. And so far, it's not going bad. In 48 hours, they had over 1 million people joining their wait list for the beta test. And that doesn't necessarily mean that the search landscape will change very rapidly, right? Google is an established product with tons of defenses around their dominance, and their default on Android phones, on iPhones, Google Chrome is a really popular browser, and billions of users have the habit of using Google to get the information they need, right? So let's go over a comparison now, man versus the machine. That's an interesting one. Now, I encourage you to take a screenshot of this little piece of text here, because when you look at that, it becomes apparent when you compare content written by AI against a human counterpart. You know, AI writes what we would call obvious content. It doesn't have a lot of creativity, it doesn't have a lot of personality, which is fairly expected, to be frank. But if you take a screenshot of this and do a simple comparison on your own, you're going to notice the huge difference between human output and AI output. It's pretty massive, and this is something we've been observing in many different forms of content creation with AI. Now let's go to the next slide. ChatGPT, it's just not our opinion, right? ChatGPT itself has its own viewpoints on why using content sourced by AI is not a great idea for businesses, right? And here are the reasons it gives. First one is context. It has a lack of context. If you've been in business for long enough, there's probably no one on earth who knows your business and your customers better than you. And AI is not going to have enough context to replicate your brand's voice, tone, language, or even convey your message better than a human writer. That's a big one. The second one is inaccuracy. One of the problems we've seen consistently with AI content is inaccurate information. So much so that Google itself, the leading source of information in the world, lost 100 billion in valuation because their demo of Bard had an inaccurate answer to a question. So if Google's AI can mess up, this is a problem that AI will take some time to solve, right? And the third one is plagiarism. AI learns from existing content. And because of that, it tends to replicate what's already out there. Sometimes content will be literally a copy of some other source it learned from. So it could be an exact version of something you read somewhere else. And last but not least, the lack of creativity. This is a big one. And you've seen in the comparison that we just displayed here between human and AI, that humans are still much more creative and they bring their unique perspective to content, which AI cannot replicate. So businesses can speed up a lot of their content creation efforts, right, with AI. But it's definitely not a substitute to humans, at least not now.
All right. And then the question becomes, what about Bard, right? So I know, obviously everybody's been talking about ChatGPT, and then Bing came out with their version of the new Bing AI. And then Google, of course, is going to respond eventually with Bard. And there's a lot of uncertainty around how Bard is going to manifest itself in search results specifically. There's a lot we don't know. I mean, Google gave a short demo with a couple examples, and one of them was blatantly wrong, which was a problem. But what they've said thus far is it's going to be an experimental conversational AI service, that seeks to combine the breadth of the world's knowledge with power of large language models, right? And so how that manifests itself for searchers and for Google's audience is still in a lot of ways TBD. The example that they showed in some ways was just in a lot of ways, a much more robust real-time featured snippet, right? I mean, if that's what it ends up being, then that'll obviously have some impact on on SEO and kind of how we want to create content, but there's still a lot that remains to be seen about how it ends up looking. One thing, though, that's undeniable is that Bard was probably the most expensive product rollout in the history of technology, right? I mean, as I mentioned before, they shared an example of a query: what new discoveries from the James Webb Space Telescope can I tell my 9-year-old about? And one of the bullet points was actually wrong. And as a result of that, their market capitalization the next day tumbled $100 billion. So, obviously a very expensive mistake from Bard. And does it mean that Bard is done? No, of course not. But it's not off to a great start. And now I think a lot of people are wondering if Bard is going to be like the next Google Plus, right? I mean, Google Plus was a response to Facebook that obviously fell on its face completely. And while I think Bard probably won't do that, there are questions around what it's going to look like and how they're going to ultimately roll it out. So what happens next? Again, it's still TBD. I mean, one thing to keep in mind is it's probably it's definitely not a good time to count Google out, right? I mean, Google has a ton of brain power around this topic. The T in GPT is actually something that Google invented. They came out with a paper, I think it was like around August of 2017, called Transformer, a novel neural network architecture for large language understanding, right? That's the T in GPT. And a lot of the OpenAI engineers are ex-Googlers. So, a ton of brain power they're putting behind this product. And, Bing hasn't really opened up their version of their AI to the public yet. It's still behind. You have to get access to it. They have to grant you access. So it's still kind of behind a login. And if Google releases Bard to the public right at once, that's going to be huge, right? Because, Bing hasn't done that yet. So they'll get adoption really quickly. Obviously, there's significantly more people that use Google than do Bing. Also, to be fair, Bing's demo had a lot of factual errors, just like Google's did. But of course, no one pays attention to Bing, so no one really even noticed, So, definitely not a good time to count out Bard. And I think that there's going to be a lot of use cases for it. And if it's anything like what Bing is doing, where Bing, takes your prompt, turns it into a query, pulls back all of the results, summarizes them, and then gives it to you in a conversational format, that's going to be huge, right? So Google, has a big opportunity here. And I think what they come out with is ultimately going to be really interesting and have a big impact on search. And speaking of search, let's try to talk about how AI and SEO are going to work together and how we can, utilize a lot of these AI tools to help with SEO, right? I mean, I think, with anything like this, there's a lot of fear within the SEO community, right? Thinking that all of a sudden people aren't going to need to use search engines, or thinking that, the organic traffic is going to plummet to zero. I don't think that's probably going to be true. I mean, there's a lot of ways that search engines, and Google specifically, can utilize this technology to help out searchers. They're going to be providing, I think, a lot of useful information at the top of the search result, and then probably have the regular results below, right? That's how they looked at it, or that's how the demo was. They had that kind of featured snippet that was generated from AI, and then the organic search results below that. If you've seen what Bing is doing, they're actually providing the references to the sites that they use to comprise their answer. So it's, I think there's still going to be a lot of opportunity for SEOs to show up in those top spots to make sure that their content is included in whatever answer Google provides, right? I mean, in some ways, it might be, similar to that featured snippet. And then also, thinking about what queries this might be best for. There's a lot of conversation around kind of this one true answer, right? And so, for queries in which there is like one singular right answer, you probably weren't going to be getting a lot of traffic from that anyway, right? I mean, back in the day, there were sites that generated traffic from people who had questions around what is the temperature of a certain city, or what time is it, right? Things that were that elementary that Google then started to incorporate in the top of the search results. And so I think that, the value of organic traffic is going to get greater, right? I mean, if you think about the types of queries that people are going to be doing, if they're not able to get the answer specifically from the auto-generated part that Bard has, they're going to scroll, and the value of that traffic should go up. So lots of different ways that this could impact SEO. I think one of the big things is going to be how you combat, right, one true answer. And what Bing has done, in a lot of ways, as I mentioned before, is have the footnotes at the bottom. But then for queries where there isn't, one true answer, really thinking about how you can show up in that result set, right? Because Bing does this today. You look at, if you use the new Bing with the conversational search feature, they take your prompt and they turn it into a query. And then, they pull down the top, whatever it is, 5 or 10 results from that query, summarize it and give it back to you. So it's going to be even more important to be in that top result set to show up, to make sure that your answer or that your content is part of that response. And so I think a lot of the things that have traditionally been true about SEO are going to continue to be true, right? Like you need to do all of the other things to be recognized as a brand in order to show up in those top spots so that your answer gets included in the result set. And so a lot of those things that I was talking about that were true before are still going to be true, right? So experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness are going to be so important to make sure that your content is part of the answer. And if you think about things that might become more important as content, or as it becomes easier to create content, it's things like link building, right? How do you get links from well-known sites in your industry? How do you increase the number of people that are searching for your brand? How do you increase the number of people that are talking about you or following you on social media websites, right? So all of these different ways to show that you have experience in what it is that you're talking about, to show that you're an expert in what it is that you're talking about, to show that you're an authority in the space, and that ultimately users and these AIs should trust your answers is going to be important, right? I mean, I think, if you look before as your users as a primary audience, I think another audience that you'll want to be looking at, which you probably have in some ways already, is these robots, right? And these AIs, right? How do you convince them that your website is kind of a true answer that should be considered as part of the result? So, Google's been talking about quality since the beginning, and this is one area that I think is going to continue to be of increasing importance over time, to make sure that your content gets surfaced in search results and that your brand ultimately gets the traffic that it deserves.
Now, beyond ChatGPT and Bard, we've been running experiments with AI for content creation with blogs, and in the coming months, you can expect some exciting announcements. Our goal was to help you speed up your content creation for marketing, whether it's for your blog, your social media properties, your email campaigns, or paid media. All of these applications are conducive to AI. Now, since May last year, we launched a pilot AI article writer to gauge the appetite for our audience, with AI tools, right? And we can say that the appetite is gigantic. So much so that our existing AI article writer is going through an overhaul that involves creating better quality content, offering a better user experience, and creating long-form content for blog articles, because the existing version creates only like short-form content. We're working on incorporating the same technology behind ChatGPT, which is GPT 3.5. So stay tuned to Neo's blog, newsletter. We'll have exciting news very soon. Next slide, please. Now, here's how you can leverage Ubersuggest's AI writing tool for content creation, even in the existing version, right? Our solution actually enables you to create title ideas for your blog articles. From there, you can actually get full-blown outlines covering all the different topics you should include in your articles. And it also includes SEO-optimized meta descriptions. So all that work that goes into creating meta descriptions is gone. And other solutions like rewriting content, writing answers to FAQs, frequently asked questions, or generating descriptions for your e-commerce product, or hashtags for your social media content. It's all there. You should check it out while it's still unlimited. Like, that's one of the few tools that offer unlimited AI writing. Now, what's in your audience's mind? You can answer the public. We want to be a part of the content creation journey from start to finish, right? The way a lot of our users start creating content is by discovering keywords on Answer the Public in Uber Suggest. Every month, you can see 3 billion searches being made on Google, and 20% of those have never been made before. So it's all new searches. What Answer the Public allows you to is to uncover those searches and understand where your audience's attention is headed. This is a great way for you to generate content on the newest trends, keeping a finger on the pulse of your audience and understanding exactly what they're looking for. Now let's talk about the perfect pair, ChatGPT and Answer the Public. Answer the Public makes the perfect pair for ChatGPT and other forms of generative AI, because when you log into Answer the Public or Uber Suggest itself, you can find lots of keyword phrases that people are using to search things on Google. And that is the seed, the raw material you can use to kick off the content creation process. Answer the Public will basically provide you with the raw inputs, the keyword phrases that you need in order to ask ChatGPT to generate content ideas for content piece on your blog, for example, based on that keyword. So you can basically literally write for ChatGPT, generate title ideas for the search phrase, and then you put the search phrase. Then I can ask ChatGPT to generate an article outline based on the title idea that I chose from their list. And it will tell me, it will give me the headings for my article sections. I can even ask ChatGPT to give me different options if I want to. And once I'm satisfied with the outline, I can feed back that outline to ask the AI to write a full-blown article based on my title and that article outline. So the process is very simple, right? You just go through ATP to find the keyword phrases. You feed those keyword phrases to create title ideas. From the title ideas, you generate outlines. From the outlines, you generate a full-blown content piece. And once I go through this process, I just need to make sure to edit the article bit by bit to make sure it's original, it sounds and reads very much like a human, right? That's a very important part. So let's go to the next one. So we've validated this workflow, and it works very well. Based on what we learned, we're developing a new experience that capitalizes on ChatGPT technology to generate content. And again, it all starts with the keyword phrase that you find on Answer the Public or Uber Suggest. For now, you must be clear, right, that AI is not going to create the content for you, right? It's going to take you from 0 to 1, but you need to edit the content to make sure the content is properly, it's sounding human, it's reading human, it's not plagiarizing and things like this. So you need to make sure it's original and all of those things. The AI output is fairly original itself, but the way it reads, it's better if you edit there, right? And this integration between finding keywords on Answer the Public and then going to tools like ChatGPT or any other AI generative tool allows you to create content 10 times faster. And that's much better than just doing that from scratch, right? The biggest problem with ChatGPT is that if you don't know how to write high quality prompts are the way you communicate with the AI. You're not going to do the best, you're not going to take the best out of AI. So you need to know how to write high quality prompts, right? Now, we know that a lot of people can't really write really great prompts. That's a fact. Like, just think about it, right? It takes some creativity, it takes some learning, it takes some prompt engineering skills, to be fair, right? And in order to give you the best experience possible with content creation, we're going to offer you an experience that does a little bit of the heavy lifting for you. So instead of just writing a lot of prompts to get to this process, we're going to offer with Uber Suggest and Answer the Public an interface that goes through that process without you having to write a ton of prompts, right? We're going to have those prompts pre-embedded into our system and make sure that the content output that you get is high quality. So stay tuned. We'll be sharing updates in the coming weeks and in the coming couple of months. And those will help you write content faster, will help you create higher quality content. So stay tuned to Neil's blog because there's a lot of exciting things coming down the line.
So now let's go over the AI speed round. There's a lot of FAQs, takeaways, and next steps that I wanted to discuss. So that way we can summarize some of the things that we discussed today. The first thing I wanted to cover was, will AI replace humans immediately? And the reason I want to discuss this is we've been getting a lot of inquiries and even questions and interviews from journalists being like, hey, what do you think? Is it going to replace? It's not. It's not perfect yet. It lacks creativity. There's a lot of inaccuracies. We don't see it replacing humans this year or even next year or anytime soon. We still think that there'll be a need for humans for a long while, and the technology is nowhere near there. So should I be using, and to give you an idea on this, let's go back to Google and even Bing. David mentioned there's inaccuracies. Even Carlos did. They both mentioned how Google lost over $100 billion in market cap from the inaccuracies. Google has been doing search for over 20 years, yet there's still inaccuracies. Does it mean Google's doing a bad job? No, Google actually overall is doing an amazing job. But the point that we're trying to make is it's really hard to have AI perfect, and it's going to take a long time. The second thing, should I be using AI for content creation? Absolutely. Why not? It can help you with content creation. It can help you with outlines. It can help you with headings. It can help you with putting the right keywords in there. It can help you start the writing process. If it takes you 2 hours to write a blog post, why not get it done in an hour by using an AI writing tool? Now, it's not going to be perfect, and that's why you're still going to need to put in time. So again, it can save you maybe half the time versus writing it all manually, but you shouldn't just use AI to write the whole thing because it's not going to be perfect, and it's going to really lack the EEAT, right? Experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trust. And you really need that within your content to do well and have it shine. How will AI impact search? Look, quality really matters. And everyone's saying, oh, Neil, there's going to be a bombardment of content that's being created and it's going to flood the Google results. Not really. Yes, there's going to be a heavy amount of content that's being created, but the Google results are already flooded. You search for the term auto insurance, there's over 1 billion results and less than, call it, 200,000-300,000 searches a month. You search for the term credit cards, there's already 2 billion results. You even search for terms like how tall do you need to be a Olympic swimmer, you're going to get millions and millions and millions of results, probably well over 100 million results. I did a search on how tall do you need to be like a NBA basketball player, the average height. It was somewhere around there. I think it was like 300 or 600 million results. The point I'm getting at is all the queries, both head terms and long tail terms, a lot of them are already flooded with results. Most of the results are crap. Google is really good at putting the best ones on page 1, page 2, and page 3. Majority of the people click on page 1. Some maybe click on page 2. Page 3, not really. But the point I'm getting at is even when you do a search, the next time you do one, look at how many results are indexed, and you'll see in most cases hundreds of millions, if not billions, but yet Google focuses on 10, the 10 that are on the first page. In other words, they're already good at drowning out the noise. So even though people use AI to create content at mass scale, if it doesn't have the EEAT, it's not going to rank as well. If it doesn't have that personal touch, no one's going to really care to read another article. Remember, the way these AI writing tools work is they're scouring the web for all the content around that topic. And in essence, they're using that to help create a new article for you. It's a more modern version of an article spinner that people were using years and years ago. It lacks a lot of the creativity, lacks a lot of the personal touch. Yes, it's a lot better in which you can tell it the writing style you want, and it can adapt in many ways like that. And it will continue to get better over time, but it doesn't mean that, just using AI written content is going to help you rank high. You still need to get the social shares. You need to still build the links. All those factors matter as well. And look, the progress is amazing. It helps with a lot of productivity. In many cases, you can save half the time. The performance, not quite there yet, but that's why you need to add the human touch. And when you add the human touch, you can still do really well in the long run. So now I want to get into some Q&A. If you are interested in working with us, whether it's related to integrating more AI into your marketing or just getting more traffic from
SEO or paid advertising or email marketing or boosting your conversion rates or expanding your marketing internationally, scan the QR code and you can fill in your information, or you can just go to npdigital.com. So let's get into some questions.
Hey, everybody. Neil, Carlos, David, that was awesome. The FAQs were great. I think we addressed some of the questions, but let's revisit a few. One of the questions that came up is there a plagiarism or an AI detector tool that you guys would recommend?
You can just use Copyscape and it'll tell you if the content is plagiarized, and you should use it with a lot of the AI written content. Even with ChatGPT, we find that there's quite a bit of use cases where it is plagiarized. Not the whole thing, but sentences or paragraphs.
There's also like originality.ai is one that you can look at to see if the content is likely to be written by an AI. And then also ChatGPT, OpenAI created their own detection tool, but that didn't work when I tested it. I actually created like a couple paragraphs of text using my own words, and it said it was likely written by an AI. So either I sound like an AI or the tool is wrong. I'm betting it's the latter.
Very good. Thank you. If you're using ChatGPT to help you with content development, blogs, articles, what's the best practice in terms of how to source it? Who do you put down as the author? How do you include the citations?
Yeah, so that's a good question. I think a lot of the publishers that have tested it thus far, have mentioned that parts or portions of it have been assisted by AI. So, I think that's the way that I've seen it done. But that is an area that's still so new that I think a lot of companies are approaching it differently. What I would recommend though is mentioning it in some capacity. I think if you're a well-known brand and you are creating content that's purely AI based and passing it off as a human, I think you could run into some risk there. So probably best to just be open about, the content was either written or assisted by an AI.
Very good. Also, with the use of ChatGPT, it's likely that the amount of content overall is just going to increase. Is that going to make link building even that much more valuable from an SEO perspective?
Yeah, short answer is yes. I definitely believe that. That goes back to the idea of expertise, authoritativeness, experience, and trustworthiness. I don't know why I did EAET there, but yeah, it will be important. I think the more that you're able to show search engines that other people in your space are talking about you and you're an authority, I think that's going to be important. And I think as a lot of the tools are primarily right now, text to text, right? So the text input provides a text output. Essentially, or at some point, I think there will be more, and there already are some tools that are text to image, right? Stable Diffusion is one. I think there's some others as well. And then, also there will be text to video. But because so much of it's text to text right now, I think this is where TikTok might come into play as well, right? So, I think that people are going to want to have that human connection at some point. And so you're starting to see, at least amongst the younger generation, people wanting to see content from other people, right? And so, I think that you're going to obviously see an increase in written content through a lot of these AI tools, but you'll also see an increase in demand for content from real people. And those people are going to be perceived as experts, right? And so if those people who are, experts and authorities on TikTok are then able to, create websites with their content, that I think is also kind of interesting as well. So short answer is yes, link building is going to be important, but the longer answer is the more that you're able to incorporate those EEAT signals, the better it's going to be for your website overall.
And as to simplify it even more, think of it this way. If your article has a lot of stats and data that your own company researched, or you're talking about personal experiences that other people may have never faced, and you're integrating that within your content, when you make it unique and stand out, in essence, when someone reads it and they're like, oh, I learned something new, this isn't the same old stuff that is regurgitated over and over again, That's the type of content that people are more likely to share and link to. And that's why it's super important to integrate the double EAT. Without that, it's just like more Me Too content. If you read a piece of article that has already been written 5,000 times on the web and everyone's already seen it, why are you going to link to it? You're not. And that's why you need the double EAT.
Yeah, last thing I'll say, because Neil just reminded me of something about the recent product review updates that Google has done. So they've been rewarding content that has that first-person experience tone and content on the site. So, anybody could go to Amazon, copy and paste the features and benefits of a product and publish it on their website, right? That has no value. That's been done, millions of times by a lot of other websites. But if you're able to show pictures of yourself using the product, or if you're able to, use first person terminology about your experience with the product, they've been, giving a little bit more weight to those types of product reviews. So yeah, it's that direct experience, which is unique to yourself, which search engines are going to look to reward. And that's also something that the AIs can't create, right? So, the more you lean into that, the better you'll be.
Great. Also, another common question that's come up, and I think you hit on it a little bit, but maybe just one more time, is, does the Google algorithm penalize sites that have AI content, and can it even detect it?
Google, so I think people are thinking about it the wrong way. It's not about can Google detect if it's AI content or not, or if they penalize. Google doesn't want crap content. They don't care if it's written by AI or a human, and they've stated that. There's already a lot of junk content. It doesn't matter if a human wrote it or AI wrote it. They don't want to rank it. If it's the most amazing piece of content that's unique, no one's ever talked about it before, and it's written by AI, which we haven't seen yet, they would gladly rank it because it provides the best value to a user. Google isn't optimizing for AI versus human. They're optimizing for their users. When someone does a search on Google, what gives them the most value? That is what they want to rank at the top. They're already good at drowning out the noise. Google isn't here to just try to penalize sites who use AI or crap content. Instead, they're just trying to not rank them. Years and years ago, when people like David and I got involved in SEO, penalizations were much more common. These days, penalizations are less common. Instead, Google's just good at ignoring the bad stuff. So, for example, you have a ton of bad links. Back in the day, a long, long time ago, you'd be more likely to get a penalty. These days, those links just don't really help you, and you just wasted your time. If you have a ton of crap content, you're just not going to rank anymore. Doesn't mean your site's penalized. You got to remove it and fix it and add value to rank higher. So don't worry about, are you going to get penalized from AI or not? Or, if it's human written, are you going to rank better? Think about what is the best content out there and how do you create that? And right now, you can't do that fully with AI. You still need a human to go and modify it. So I wouldn't recommend publishing just AI written content as is without human modification. But again, we can't emphasize this enough. Focus on what's best for the user. Don't worry about if it's AI or not AI, or penalizations or not penalizations. Focus on what makes the best content that people want to read and link to.
Yeah, I think what Carlos said earlier about content, context is going to be really important. One last question in regards to e-commerce brands. What's a good best practice on how to utilize AI to help an e-commerce brand? Where would they start?
Product descriptions, I think, are a natural place to start. If you have a lot of the features, and benefits listed out, I think it can create a pretty good product description, which I know tends to be a fairly heavy lift for retailers. And then another thing to test out is meta descriptions as well, right? And this is not necessarily just for e-commerce websites. Any site that has a significant number of pages, test out AI on meta descriptions as well. But I think those are two good places to start to look.
John, one question I want to answer is from Robert. Google skews results based on their revenue potential. For example, if I have a great website that provides Google little or no revenue versus a similar website that provides extensive revenue for Google, which site will be posted first? And the reason I want to answer this is, I want to answer this myth because a lot of people believe that Google ranks websites based on their earning potential. With paid advertising, by all means, if a website is paying for ads, but they're not getting any clicks, you're not going to rank because that is revenue potential for them. But for organic results, when you're specifically talking about SEO, they don't really focus on revenue potential because they're not making revenue either way. They're focusing on quality and what users prefer. And what you'll end up finding out is it's not necessarily revenue potential that causes rankings to go up or down, but a lot of smaller websites believe that they just don't do as well as the bigger ones, because one of the factors in their algorithm is brand queries. So if someone searches for Nike over and over again, it means there's brand loyalty and consumers love it. So it makes it easier for Nike to rank. Yes, they may have more links or social shares, but brand queries is a huge part of their algorithm. And what you'll find is smaller sites typically have less brand queries or brand affinity and people looking for the brand. So they don't always rank as high as some of the bigger brands. One of the reasons they do this, in my opinion, and from my conversation with some engineers, is also related to fake news. They know that if they rank a New York Times website, they're less likely to create fake news than Joe the plumber. I'm making it up, but you get the point, right? New York Times has an editorial crew and staff, and they go through extensive processes to publish something on New York Times versus just someone posting something on their personal blog.
Great. Yeah, no, I think that's it. I'll turn it back over to you guys for any closing remarks. Thank you.
Well, thank you, everyone. Make sure you guys check out Ubersuss. Carlos and the team have been making some amazing progress on both Ubersuss and Answer the Public. If you're interested in working with us, you can scan the QR code or just go to npdigital.com, and as in Nancy, P as in Paul, digital.com. And thank you for your time. I know this is, for some of you, late, some of you it's early, some of you it's afternoon. We know you guys have a busy schedule, so we appreciate you guys taking the time and showing up.
My name is Neil Patel, and I help companies generate more revenue through digital marketing. Entrepreneur Magazine said I was the #1 marketer in the world, and they also said I created one of the 100 most brilliant companies. I started my first website at the age of 16. I took all the money that I earned from working at an amusement park, and I paid a marketing firm. The marketing firm provided no results, and I quickly learned that I wasn't alone. Out of my frustration and from being broke, I had no choice but to learn marketing. My first client was a power supply manufacturer. I helped them generate another $25 million in sales, and from that point, I realized the power of marketing. I helped everyone that I could, and I built my reputation by being honest and over-delivering. I've helped companies like Google, NBC, Viacom, General Motors, eBay, but nothing's more satisfying than helping small business owners succeed. I founded 4 multi-million-dollar companies, and I've learned all the mistakes that you should avoid. I've written about them on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Inc., Fast Company, and even on my own blogs. It's so awesome to know that colleges from all around the world are teaching my material in their classroom. Over the years, I've received awards from the President of the United States, the House of Representatives, and the United Nations. People believe marketing is expensive and difficult. Fortunately, that's not true. There is a formula. Even if you don't have a technical bone in your body, you can get results. And my mission is to share this formula with you.